All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about AI-powered DBA operations for ClickHouse. And this will be a journey from alert fatigue to insightful automation. And my name is Alkin. I'm the Director of Services at Altinity. Here I have Boris, who is also my colleague from Altinity as a senior support engineer and also a ClickHouse expert. So let's get started with the agenda. And today we're going to talk about using AI for DBA tasks. And I want to mention previously we had done a similar session around alert analysis where we actually analyze number of alerts that we are monitoring from the ClickHouse databases and then presented into this view of dashboards, creating and meaningful alerts and analysis done by AI. In this session, we are going to do a little bit more further than that, and we will actually discover the evidence of root cause of the problems and digging into ClickHouse issues, where we set up environment, generate smart dashboards, and we'll probably try to show you a demo if time permits. So let's get started. And using LLMs and DBA operations. So as everyone are trying these LLMs in our day-to-day lives, we have some experimentation about automated diagnostics and remediation. So basically, diagnosing is one thing, action is another. As of today, natural language interfaces don't provide a lot of actionable item where they generate pretty meaningful and useful information for DBAs like ourselves. And we also want to get to the next level of troubleshooting, helping junior team members, or if you're actually owning and running, maybe responsible from a database or technology that you're not familiar with, this will help you get started faster than normal learning curve. So our setup will include a cloud-based implementation. What that means is a managed service. It's a cluster that is ready to go. It's got bells and whistles, tools, monitoring, and also UI interface into that. And that's where we actually execute our ClickHouse operations, where Altinity Cloud provides two options. Well, actually three options. One of them is Altinity Cloud deployments. There is also bring your own cloud. One of these, as you can see, Amazon, Google, or Azure. Also, you can do bring your own Kubernetes. And this will be the basis of our ClickHouse implementation, where you can also run the similar approach in on-prem installations. Here is the architecture for what we end up doing before we can get to any meaningful data analysis or DBA operations using LLMs. So we have the ClickHouse installation from right to left. We also connect that to a MCP server. Now we have also an MCP server, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then we connect it to LLM. And then LLM actually has some UI or a CLI interface to it. So that data flows back and forth in between. We've been all experimenting. I'm sure some of you already are maybe even experts in this area. There is a lot of things here in this picture, although it looks very simplistic. But there is MCP server, which actually provides a gateway proxy to the database, backend database. Also turns the interpretation of the language context into a database SQL. And then this is how we actually bring it up to the level of meaningful responses and dashboard generation from that. So when we said Altinity MCP server, we have an open source MCP server designed specifically for ClickHouse. Well, there are many MCP. MCP is basically, it is a standard operation for database access from the LLMs. In this case, we have the ClickHouse one. So it's a Golang one. There might be the other options out there, and then it's got some dynamic tool creation and password and authentication. Some of these standard open source tooling is generated. It's a lightweight and it's efficient, easy to install, single binary MCP server. So that is another prerequirement for our use case. and we will go with the MCP configuration for the web. So for the web configuration from the console, we need to add the MCP connector to the whether it's whatever the tool that you're using to the gateway into the database. And we also have some ideas around you're not bound to run it on a desktop. You can actually, or a web UI, you can also use the command line options. I have experimented some of those, and Boris has been going a little beyond that, experimenting and generate and comparing. So he can also give us some ideas around it. These tools all have the CLI connectivity to the CLI endpoints. So either way, I think it's a web UI desktop is a good starting point. Once you start advancing or productizing your solution, maybe going into command line setup will be a better option over here. So that brings us to the next level. We connect the LLM to the database. So we get the access URL and something like MCP demo Altinity cloud key, and add that config and use the server while chatting with the model. So MCP server needs to be up and running and operational all the time that you're doing. So when this goes into some sort of a product or production level, you need to kind of also think about how this MCP server will be monitored and run in a way that like any other application that you're running. Also, the other option over here is the ClickHouse client. But this ClickHouse client will only work with the other command line tools. As we said over here, where these basically web UI providers will also provide these CLIs. And it's becoming, I believe, in very recent time frame, I believe these CLIs becoming more advanced, and they will become part of the automation and integration to this ecosystem. So, and then some examples over here with the MCP configs and for the CLI. So this will allow us to set up the MCP server to run in this configuration files, which is one of them is a JSON, the other ones, and then you can basically edit the cloud code. We got some examples for Codex, Gemini, and Cloud, whichever you've been trying or whichever you have access and tokens to it. So with the ClickHouse client, it will only work with the CLI as we said, and then on the prompt, it can actually access the ClickHouse with the user and password, and that will be only controlled by the ClickHouse RBAC. Basically, with this access, there is nothing between or more than what you already given to the ClickHouse server. We definitely don't recommend running this in production, but if you do, you need to make sure that permissions are limited and controlled by your RBAC configuration. Whereas on the web UI, basically it has more secure and it's got some other features, but security over here is important, where you give access to what in terms of going that. And here I will be handing over the conversation to Boris.
Okay, hello. So we discussed how we could connect LLM to the ClickHouse database, and now let's discuss how we could use it. First of all, let's talk about the problem. So we need to package our knowledge to some sort of files or prompts to provide additional information for the model. The model itself clear enough. All the models read the whole internet, all the documentation, blogs, forums, everything. But probably some fresh documents or internal documents still not accessible by the models. So we could add additional knowledge here. And what it could be? Could be how we work. So our internal business processes, our internal work, how we work with the clients, with the servers, how we discover the problems and solve them. So all that stuff, like internal corporate knowledge, could be packaged for some format for the model. There are two different ways for that. So old way and classical, how we use it for 3 years, it's some sort of agentic prompt. So we write some text, mostly on Markdown, and the text became huge and huge. So we pack a lot of information on the text, and that prompt will overload context window of the model. So that is a problem. So model is working not so efficiently, provide not to great answer, and so on. The same problem with overload by MCP server definitions. So if we connect too many MCP servers, all definitions of the tools will overload context window. We should always think about the context window and the information model have here. So the idea to do it better. It's a new word, new buzzword for this year. It's skills. Introduced by Anthropic last year, and it became very popular. All major players start supporting skills, and skills is here. Everybody doing skills today. So what's the difference? Agentic prompt plays all the instructions in context window immediately on the start. On skills, it works differently. So the chat interface, not the model itself. First, try to find needed skills by some sort of vector search based on the skill definition. And after that, it loads a single file of the skills, skill.md, and use it to work. If needed, more different files could be loaded from the skill directory, even scripts, script example, or maybe run scripts in sandbox, and so on. So that is a different way, not use it before, not against, not MCP servers. It's a new world. And we decide to use it for our architecture. So we designed our own Altinity ClickHouse expert skill. And here is the typical start of the skill. So we provide the name and provide some description. That description is used by vector search to find a proper skill. You could have dozens or maybe hundreds of skills, and they just stored on your disk. Don't consume your context window. And only needed skill is loaded. And moreover, our skill works in waves. So we start doing one research, basic research, collect facts, system tables, queries, and so on. Run a model to make some diagnosis, to find symptoms, file share, and so on. And on third step, we produce actions. So what is the problem and what to do? That is the basic idea of our skill. Let's experiment a bit. I prepared some data warehouse star schema based on the some medical standard, and it's data warehouse. We have several tables, fact tables, dimension tables, connections, and so on. You know that. And I created a data set, the load, insert load, select load, everything. and run a model to find some interesting problems here. First of all, I want to try a new ClickHouse feature, name it SQL style updates. So it's new updates for ClickHouse. As you probably know, ClickHouse not too great work with updates and deletes, but last year it changed. So ClickHouse now have fast update, fast deletes, nearly the same speed as all other databases. It's new feature. And it based on so-called patch parts. And I try to use it in data warehouse schema design. And let's try to find. Maybe there are some problems. It's new feature. So I run all the load for the database. It was a select load, huge load by ClickHouse benchmark with a lot of parallels, with a lot of heavy queries, everything. And also update load. So a different process continuously run updates and deletes on the same database. And the server was completely overloaded. Yes, I know. I create too much load for the small server, but it's our goal, find some interesting. And so I ask the model what to do and run comprehensive analysis on some time frame, provide a connection over MCP connector AI demo, and suggest look for errors, query performance, and go deeper to research the problems. And get some report in form of MD file. So the report was quite long. I provided all the different reports I tried on in the GitHub repo. The link is at the end of the presentation. And here is only extract from the biggest document. So most important problem is lightweight update deleted. So I immediately get code 49 part range reader for reading patch parts. So some complicated internal ClickHouse errors and merge for failures. And the merge queue for one particular table stopped. And that is a good understanding, the basic understanding from the model. So I don't have to do it with myself, reading different system tables, understanding situation. I just run a prompt and wait a little bit. And also the model suggests the reason. It could be a ClickHouse bug on lightweight update is deleted patch part that was introduced in previous versions. And found several references for the GitHub about similar problems. Again, that is the typical workflow of the any DBA to understand the problem, to find additional information, mostly on GitHub, and think a bit what to do. Also, model suggests recommendation. So in my queries, I use order by rand. So it's quite unusual, but it's test workload, and it will be convenient to create a test workload. And actually, it was a problem. So it was a problem, and moreover, it's documented problem in ClickHouse doc documentation. Model understand the problem and suggest remove order by random value, non-deterministic function, and replace it by something different. all I needed to do is just agree with the model. Okay, that's fine. I understand. Do it. The model fixed my code and restart the test again. Part problem disappeared and all's fine. The second problem found was memory limit exceeded. So it was a real several memory pressure from analytical selects. So we understand that is a problem. The problem is found. Too much RAM used for such a big load for such a small server, and with clear problem found by the automatic analysis. Also, in the report, there were top offenders, so most problematic queries that created OMs, and the reason. So we got a truly automatic problem resolution, problem discovery, and sometimes resolution. That's all.
All right, I will run through this then the next section over here, and as we saw, by the way, I want to mention that all the links to this demo is at the end of the PDF, so we'll provide that. Here, what we discover over here is now we're at the stage of DBA versus AI DBA. So rest assured, DBA jobs are not going away. Looking at the list of things that AI DBA can do, still not sufficient enough to do an architecture and schema design. Also, a redesign of a schema, like a schema that was designed but did not perform well under certain conditions or business rules, maybe different requirements. This is what we do at Altinity a lot, so I can assure you that this is still a thing. But we can use query analysis and suggestions, which goes to this new schema design. So what didn't work will it work with the new schema design? AI can also help us. Performance tuning indexes, queries, and storage engines definitely needs to have a baseline compared to what AI can suggest. Of course, we definitely need backup recovery, disaster recovery, high availability, security and compliance, all the bells and whistles of a traditional production grade enterprise database requirements needs to be overseen by not even a DBA, a group of DBAs, in order to make that business function without a hiccup. Although we highly recommend using on index recommendations, anomaly detection, alert correlation. These are the best things that they can offer, especially scraping of logs. I mean, how we used to do that traditionally doesn't scale on certain implementation. So AI will definitely help those. Cost and performance optimization, definitely, but AI doesn't come free. I never mentioned on the our MCP architecture, there is also some tokens involved. Depending on the token usage, depending on the efficiency of the MCP interaction with the LLM, your tokens will burn out. There is also a cost to this. It's not free. And that's where we end our talk today. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have questions, please do reach out to Boris and myself, and we can go over any of the questions that you have.